So like the Phoenix, the Super Eagles of Nigeria revived their World Cup qualifying campaign from the brink of elimination to make the playoffs and yet stand a chance of featuring at the 2026 World Cup in the USA. By the skin of their teeth, the Super Eagles clawed back with a 4-0 victory over the Republic of Benin, scoring the goal that got them through in stoppage time to summarize what can only be described as a miracle of a feat. Can we now celebrate a fully revived Super Eagles ready for both the playoffs and the forthcoming Nations Cup? Or does Eric Chalet still have some work to do? Let's get into it. As we get into the video, we implore you to subscribe to our channel. We urge you to keep supporting our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing our videos as we strive to create a lot more exciting content for your viewing pleasure. Onto the video. With the resurgence of the Super Eagles on the final day of Group C matches of the World Cup African qualifiers, one can say the Super Eagles have broken the yoke that has kept the Super Eagles performing below expectations since match day 1 of the qualifiers. After a liturgy of unfortunate events and catalog of poor decisions by the NFF, the Super Eagles seemed on the brink of missing out on another World Cup, as nothing seemed to be working out for them. This was compounded by injuries to Victor Osimhen, which resulted in him missing a few qualifiers, as well as Ola Aina, Bright Osai Samuel, and the suspension of Ademola Lookman right before the decisive match. The fact that these unfortunate events actually worked in the favor of the Super Eagles can only suggest that Nigeria's survival had to be divinely orchestrated. Victor Osimhen wasted no time in the match against Benin, scoring the first goal in the 3rd minute, which sent Benin into confusion and probably destabilized whatever plans Gernot Rohr had for the match. From there, the team didn't let up. Chukwueze and Simon worked tirelessly on the flanks, stretching Benin's defense, carving out space, delivering beautiful crosses and consistent good service. Every time the ball came their way, they looked dangerous. And Osimhen, ever alert, was there again and again to capitalize on the good service he was getting on the night, as he scored 2 more goals to complete his hat-trick. Victor Osimhen was definitely the standout performer on the night, but special praise must go to Frank Onyeka for calmly scoring the decisive goal in extra time, and also to the defense for their resolute defending. Every interception, every block, and the structural shape in defense held up when tests came. Ajayi and Bassi were solid in central defense and on the right, which was an area of concern going into the match. Benjamin Fredericks was a rock, fluffing out every attack that came in through that flank. His playing on the right side for Nigeria against Benin confirms that the Super Eagles were divinely destined to win, as this area of weakness for the Super Eagles was locked down by Benjamin Fredericks, who only featured in that position due to injuries to Ola Aina and Bright Osai Samuel. Similarly, the suspension to Ademola Lookman, who was arguably not at his best, led to the opportunity for Samuel Chukwueze to play arguably his best game for the Super Eagles, with 2 marvelous assists for Victor Osimhen to score. When final whistle blew, Nigeria and Benin sat on 17 points each. But Nigeria's superior goal difference delivered the knockout blow. They grabbed 2nd place in Group C, and their 4th goal in stoppage time secured one of Africa's playoff spots, edging out close contenders Burkina Faso by that single goal after eliminating the results against the bottom-place teams due to Eritrea's withdrawal. Now the road ahead for the Super Eagles grows steeper as it heads towards its next challenge. In Morocco, Nigeria will face Gabon in the semi-final of the World Cup playoffs on November 13, 2025. The winner of that match meets the victor of Cameroon versus the DRC in the final on November 16, 2025, with just one team advancing to the inter-confederation playoff in March 2026. Looking ahead to the playoffs, the following are the key things Nigeria must work on to ensure they get through to qualify for the 2026 World Cup in the USA. Number 1. Nigeria must maintain the same intensity. Victor Osimhen remains pivotal. In matches where defenses will be tighter, where mistakes are punished, he has to deliver. Although it is not in anybody's hands to ensure players remain fit, but it is imperative that Victor Osimhen does not suffer any injuries before the playoff. Nigeria has been unable to win any matches in which Victor Osimhen has been absent throughout the qualifiers. This shows how important he is to the team as apart from the goals he scores. His passion and never-say-die attitude on the pitch is a major motivating factor for the team. The game plan that worked in Uyo, high pressing, wing play, fluid transitions, must be refined. Opponents in the playoffs will not allow as much space as Benin did on the flanks, so Nigeria must find ways to unlock tight defenses, perhaps through set pieces, or intelligent rotation to pull defenders out of position. Number 2. Employ the right strategy and selection. The decision of whether to play Ademola Lookman or Moses Simon is going to be pivotal, as well as whether to play Samuel Chukwueze in all the playoff matches. There is no doubt as to Samuel Chukwueze's abilities, but he has been known to suddenly drop performance levels unexpectedly, and it is uncertain whether he will be as effective against a physical Cameroonian team. Eric Chile also needs to decide whether to retain the Akor-Adams-Osimhen partnership against a more dangerous Gabon or Cameroon team, as controlling the midfield is going to be key in those matches, and so the 4-4-2 formation might not work in every remaining match. Retaining a two-man midfield it used against Benin or switching to a three-man midfield will be pivotal, as Nigeria has been known to struggle in midfield against more physical teams, just like it did against Rwanda, South Africa, and arguably Côte d'Ivoire in the last Nations Cup. Number 3. Ensure players remain motivated. It is pretty obvious that the players seemed more motivated for victory against Benin than they have been in prior matches. The team may hence need a psychologist to help the team maintain the same level of motivation they displayed against Benin. Some argue that commitment has been the main issue that has been affecting the performance level of the players in the past, and the sudden resurgence in the face of possible elimination now seems to give some credence to this argument. Some have gone further to argue that diaspora-born players do not show the same commitment as Nigerian-born players. And while this is questionable, we cannot overlook the possibility that the dysfunction of the Nigerian FA could be a demoralizing factor that affects performance levels. This is likely to affect foreign-born players to a greater extent because they grew up accustomed to things being done right, and Nigerian-born players who are more used to dysfunction are likely to be less affected. If this is an issue, apart from the NFF ensuring they do better regarding player welfare, a psychologist might be able to help boost morale, as the team needs to remain motivated throughout the playoffs for Nigeria to attain its goal. Another area a psychologist will need to work on is the psychological state of the players, as dealing with transfer disputes can affect the morale of a player. Equally worrying is the antics of Nigerian keeper Stanley Nwabali in the last few matches, which some have attributed to the loss of his parents. If this is the case, then this needs to be looked into, as there is no room for error in the playoff matches. Before the release of the schedule for the playoffs, Nigeria had slated 2 high-profile friendlies. The Super Eagles were to take on Venezuela on November 14th in Houston at Shell Energy Stadium, and then Colombia on November 18th in New York at Citi Field. But after securing playoff qualification, the NFF has reportedly moved to cancel those friendlies so the team can fully focus on the all-or-nothing knockout games. Nigeria ideally ought to have played at least a friendly in that window, which was meant to prepare the team for the Nations Cup. But it is understandable if the coach feels it will be a distraction. November in Morocco awaits, and all eyes will be on Nigeria. If they bring the same ferocity, composure, and unity they showed in the match against Benin, they'll give themselves a shot at reclaiming a place on football's biggest stage. Chile should not rest on his laurels, but strengthen the team further if necessary, as Nigeria will face even greater challenges in the playoffs with the pace and attacking threat of Gabon and the physicality of Cameroon. The journey has just started, and Nigeria must keep its eyes on the prize, which is a place at the 2026 World Cup in the USA. The world awaits the Eagles-turned-Phoenix in the USA. Thanks for watching. As usual, if you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, turn on notifications and share a comment letting us know what else Nigeria needs to do to win all its playoff matches. See you in the next video.